What's up, everybody? This is Doug.
And this is Lorenzo.
And this is Good Southern. Now, what we do on this show usually is wrestle some hoagies.
And some gators.
And we live to tell the tale, hopefully.
Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm Doug.
And I'm Lorenzo.
And this is Good Suffering. For one last time, class is in session. Because it is our final Cronenberg episode. How do you feel about that?
You asking me? Or are you asking
Yes.
the listener?
The listener can't talk back.
That's true.
You're just alone in the car. Everybody's looking at you like you're a creep.
I hope you speak to us. I hope you act like, it's just three of us talking when you're driving.
You know what? I do that with podcasts sometimes, especially with Taylor's podcast.
Oh,
I
yeah.
will pause it. And
Taylor's podcast? How dare you? Just overlook Claudia and all her hard work for that show. Claudia, listen, I love you. We respect you. Okay. Doug, on the other hand, apparently just, doesn't care.
I will pause it just to literally out loud give my piece in their conversation. It's mostly yelling at Claudia.
Yeah. I feel it's probably because you think she reminds you a lot of me.
Oh,
and you like to yell at me.
I do like to yell at you.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
What do I think of this being the last episode of this Cronenberg series?
Quite a journey.
Can I be honest?
Yeah.
I want to be honest with you. Kind of relieved. 4 movies, right? 4 movies per episode. And not only that is it 4 movies, but they're movies that aren't like, just quickly digested or quickly, like you sit with them and they're done after the movie. No, these things kind of like stay with you. They're kind of cerebral and, yeah, thank God. I just need blood. I need blood and guts next movie. That's all I need. I just need like stupid characters, stupid reasons for people getting killed. Like, oh my God, like I tripped running away and dead. Like I just need that. I don't care. I don't want any more think pieces.
Good Suffering is officially an apolitical podcast. We're gonna go full like 80s, like manly, like I like blood, I like boobies, I like beer.
Listen,
like those kind of movies.
I'm a simple man.
I'm a simple man. I like some blood.
All right. I like breakfast food. I'm watching Parks and Rec now, so
Oh, good.
That was a little bit of a nick off for me.
So this does not just mark the end of the Cronenberg series, but this is also technically our anniversary episode.
Oh my dog! Happy anniversary!
Oh my God!
Oh God! Please, why? Okay.
It's been a fun year. We have
Some
a lot
might
more
say.
to look forward to going forward. And thank you guys. Thank you guys who, if this is your first episode or this is your, however many, if you've been with us since the beginning, thank you. So
I want a divorce. No, it's been great.
How could you?
I'm so happy that we've made it for this long. I don't even know, honestly, like if I anticipated it happening. Not that I felt like, oh, this is gonna crash and burn, but like the fact that we've gotten here to a year, it's like, wow, we've been doing this for a while.
And we've only put out 23 episodes.
Well, no, that's not true.
Oh, a lot of bonus episodes.
A lot of bonus episodes.
And we are stupid and we take long periods of time off.
Yes, I don't know if that's because of stupidity or because of a lot of. There is some stupidity in there for sure, but there's other external factors. Yeah, but hey, man, we did it. We're here. Wasn't this another kind of landmark episode for some reason? No. David Cronenberg's birthday was like 3 days ago.
Billy Corgan's birthday was yesterday.
No, it was today.
No, it's yesterday, the 17th.
He has my dad's birthday.
Yeah.
Jesus.
He's my dad. All our dads have the same birthdays?
And they're both bald.
And they're both bald.
And they're both
Problematic.
You said it. I was gonna say they're both jerks. No, I love you, Daddy. God, he would definitely listen to this too.
What do you think?
He would. He would.
My
Just
dad
to learn
called me
more
and was
about
like,
me.
My dad
and
called.
what I have to say.
My dad called me and he was like, "Oh, I heard you're doing a podcast. I don't really know what that is, but are you using the guitar I gave you on it?
Oh my God. He's very out of the loop.
Yeah, I'm like, no, it's about horror movies. He's like, oh, you're making movies now? And I'm like, no.
You first like break it down for him. Like, okay, this is what a podcast is. Well, first of all, this is an iPod. This is an iPod Square.
Oh, God. Was there an iPod Square? You mean the Nano?
There was the Nano, and then there was the Square Nano.
Yeah, the second without the.
I had the Nano now that looked like a USB. No, that's a Shuffle.
Yeah.
Oh my God, yeah. There was a different Nano. Okay, so the new Shuffle also had like a little screen at one point. That's what I'm thinking of.
Yeah.
Okay.
The Zune, underrated. Underrated interface.
Lord.
You're looking at me with such disdain.
That's so wrong.
Underrated interface.
Yeah, okay.
It's shittily constructed, but underrated interface.
Whatever.
The 2 or 3 months I had a Zune before it just broke into pieces. It was great. Okay, so you want to move on? You want to jump in?
Yeah, let's go into one last Cronenberg series of 4 movies. First up is
Naked Lunch from 1991.
Do. That's
what albums came out in 91? What happened in 91? Cobain was alive.
Yeah, my parents, I think, were courting each other.
My parents are already together, I think.
Yeah,
I think so. Maybe. Yeah, they were.
90. I don't know. Pablo Honey.
Yeah.
Is that right? I think that's right.
A lot of metal, a lot of like foreign metal.
93. Jesus, that
Damn.
was off. But most importantly, Naked Lunch came out.
Yeah, the most important thing to happen in 1991. David Cronenberg made Naked Lunch. Now that we've stalled long enough, you've got.
Were
the
you
IMDb
stalling?
up.
Because I had it for a while.
Oh, you had it? I thought I was trying to fill space while you looked it up.
No.
I'm not cutting this.
Oh, Lord. We're off to a great start on this last episode.
Yeah.
Of the show. This is
Of
it.
the entire show. Hey, I'm so
That's the landmark. This is also the episode where I finally murder you. All right, so here's the IMDb synopsis for Naked Lunch. Not sponsored. After developing an addiction to the substance he uses to kill bugs, an exterminator accidentally kills his wife and becomes involved in a secret government plot being orchestrated by giant bugs in a port town in North Africa.
I'm gonna be straight up with you.
That's all of it.
I'm gonna be straight up with you. I just can't believe they pulled a synopsis out of this movie.
They pulled
some sort of singular line of thought.
No, I mean, yeah. Okay, so he gets addicted. Sure.
They have to really
the killing the wife
over.
part. I feel like isn't like it's a not so much a inciting incident. It doesn't really lead to him leaving, does it?
Of course. Yeah, he leaves because he shoots his wife, and he's like, "Oh boy." Everything's like a fever dream. It's so surreal.
Yeah.
Nothing matters.
Fun fact, though.
He really did.
Burroughs literally did that.
Shot his wife in the head.
They had a cool little routine where she would put a glass on top of her head, and he would shoot it off with his gun. Well, one time he did it, and he actually killed his wife.
They were both drunk. That was in Mexico.
That's why nobody did anything about it.
Yeah.
And then he did leave.
Yeah,
he went to Tangiers, right?
No, he went to America after that.
Okay.
That was before he was a writer.
Well, okay, so we're gonna get into the whole Tangiers part too, because that does play
Interzone
plays a part, in the movie.
Well, just to run through some of the basics, we've got Peter Weller, RoboCop, the only cop I trust, Alex Murphy of the Detroit Police Department.
Your move,
creep. As Bill Lee, we've got the always excellent Ian Holm as Tom Frost. We've got Judy Davis as Joan Lee / Joan Frost, and we've got fucking Roy Schneider as Dr. Benway. I forgot he was in this movie. I've seen this movie 2 or 3 times. I always forget that Roy Schneider is straight up in this. And sharing music duty with Howard Shore is the incomparable Ornette Coleman.
The incomparable
Squidward. It's funny because that's a pretty jazzy thing too, as
That's his jazz dance recital or whatever.
Thing, yeah. And this has a pretty jazzy opening.
Yes, it reminded me of a weird, demented version of the Monsters Inc. Opening credits.
You think that's what they ripped off?
I hope so. I hope Pixar did that purposely.
This is honestly like the best Beat adaptation. I should say straight up.
That was my point. You can't steal my point. I said that to you.
Yes,
That's
I already
not fair.
felt it.
No, it's true. This is definitely the best adaptation. Not only adaptation of like a work from the Beat generation, but I like oddly enough the best like what's the word like what
tonal
I had
adaptation?
yeah I don't know like it I feel like it really got it. Like it actually got like the sense of like who these characters are. Even like the phony fraud characters of Ginsberg and Kerouac were like, you know,
Oh my
cool.
God, they're so great.
Yeah.
My favorite thing with Ginsberg is like yes, he's reciting his like poem as like Kerouac is fucking his wife,
Yeah.
but fucking Burroughs' wife, Bill Lee, but
And he
after
says
they're fighting afterwards, they're talking. He just walks in. Kerouac already left. He walks in. He's still trying to read them his poetry. It's great.
And then right after, I think it doesn't like Ginsberg's character basically try to like get Burroughs to have sex with him too.
No, that's during. He's like, "Oh, you want to join him?"
Yeah.
And then he walks away.
Yeah.
And then she comes in, and it's like, "Oh, Kerouac couldn't come, and because he's doing heroin or whatever." It's just drugs all over this movie. This movie is just
It's funny because like there's like what On the Road like as in movies,
which is not good.
There's Kill Your Darlings.
Howl. Did you ever see Howl? That's a pretty okay one.
Yeah, between Howl and this, which is
Howl is more of a
this Big Sur too that I
historical.
remember.
Was there a Big Sur movie?
Yeah. I feel like this is like this and Howl, I will say, like have really great depictions of the beats as a whole, because I don't think you can like really try to show them kind of true to life or accurately as like some movies do, like Kill Your Darlings.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's just like they've been so iconoclastic to like American literature, to American history, that to try to show like day by day, like it's not interesting. All they really were just a bunch of like rich like college kids. With all these white boys who like jazz music and thought they were writers. That's really what it is.
Yeah.
Like, just a bunch of goofballs.
And then like Burroughs being kind of like an old man living off of like inherited fortune.
Yeah. If in all honesty, their lives not that interesting. So I think that's why like doing a movie like this or like Hal really does actually get to like the essence of like what they were about.
What the works they made were about.
Yeah.
Especially something that is as standalone as Naked Lunch.
Right.
And I mean the film is sort of like a mix of a lot of his novels. They bring in a lot of influence from other things too. But it's also really just nails the tone and the weirdness and the tangential nature of it. I remember in high school, the second time I was reading Naked Lunch, I was working as a cashier at a grocery store, and I was on my work break, and I brought it with me to read. And I had this coworker who was also on her break, and she was like, "Oh, you like to read?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And she's like, "Oh, I never really was a reader. What's your book about?" And I just couldn't tell her. I was just like, "Oh, well, I mean, heroin, I guess."
Yeah. No, that's basically it.
Yeah. Weird heroin stuff. And she was like, "Oh, okay."
And that's kind of what, like, I mean, for what it's worth, like you said, the synopsis kind of creates like almost like a byline for the movie. Like, okay, that's kind of what it's about. But Burroughs, when writing this, he didn't want it to be, or he didn't intend it to be really like linear or anything like that either. He even says there's this thing where like if you just open up to any page, you just start reading from there. You don't have to read it in order. You don't have to read it like, just however you want to read it. Just open up and go. So I think for this movie, I was like kind of expecting like a free form version of it. I wasn't sure how they were going to try to tell the story. And while there is that small semblance of a plot, it is still very much loose and, like you said, fever dream. I think the fever dream aspect is like the best way to attempt telling a story that's so disjointed as it is, as a novel is.
I actually called you and said this, but I quit taking notes like halfway through this movie. I was like, there's nothing I can write right now that's smart. I just have to talk. But I really do love Cronenberg's contributions to this and his vision of what Naked Lunch is. And he tries to create this sort of byline between like Franz Kafka into Burroughs into him. And it makes sense as almost like a holy Trinity. You know, it's like the Father being Burroughs, the Son being Cronenberg, and the Holy Spirit being Kafka.
Right on.
That really is what.
And
it's
they mentioned
about.
Kafka too. I love.
Yeah.
There's a great line.
It's a Kafka high.
Oh yeah, it's a literary high, a Kafka high.
Yeah. I wish I gotta find a drug like that.
Life, man.
Okay.
Kafka wasn't on drugs. He was just watching all the absurdities of life and society. So
So was Lovecraft, and he thought he was a fish. So
he was also racist.
he was a super duper racist dude, but again, thought he was a fish. So take it with a weird. It's special racism.
Oh, that's for the mic there.
Another thing I really love, a little just snippet. When you talk about being a writer, and Cronenberg is also a writer. He's written a lot of his films and also has novels published and whatnot. I love that line when he's trying to sell the typewriter to Tom Frost, and he says, "Oh, it gives off 2 types of intoxicating fluids when it likes what you've written." And it's like, wow, that is like the writer's dream, like two kind of like drugs if it likes what you've typed.
Or just the very least a validation of like, hey, you've written something good,
and then you can go get lit.
That alone would be a drug to me. If my typewriter was like, hey, this is great, I'm like, oh, great, I'm on to something.
Would you like your typewriter to talk to you?
After watching this movie, no. Maybe before.
Would you like it to, get erect and shoot out fluids?
Oh my god!
A lot of semen in this series of films we're going to talk about.
Too much.
Too much semen.
Because even in this movie, it was too much. The typewriter, when he's typewriting in this alien head, it starts growing, and I'm like,
mugwump.
Yeah, like okay, all right, and then it gets all the way, and then boom, it starts splurting out, and I'm like, oh, okay.
Oh my god! At the end, when Robert Silverman, who plays the guy when he first goes to Interzone, and it like tries to talk to him about like, oh, Dr. Benway, and in the end they go to the mugwump facility, and he's just sucking on the thing.
Yeah. Really
It's
strange.
so funny.
I felt like I was on drugs watching this movie.
You just gotta know Cronenberg is like laughing during this whole movie. He's just sitting there laughing.
I mean, even like what was it? Like the first something from the first series of movies that we did. Oh no, I think it was because I watched like an interview. I might have mentioned this in the first series, but he said that like to him it's all funny, like the movies that he's making, like it's just about his sense of humor. And with this one, like you see it through and through, and like if you don't get Cronenberg's humor at all, you're not gonna get this movie's what it's trying to aim at you.
You know what's funny? That's always what I've said about horror guys like Eli Roth and like Rob Zombie is like, oh, they're just making movies that they think are really funny, and like I've always used that to like shit on them. But like with Cronenberg, it's like the opposite. It's like, yeah, man, he's just crazy and he owns it.
Yeah.
I really just love this as like the Cronenberg you kind of have to think the least about.
Wait,
and
this one?
Yeah, this being the Cronenberg, you have to just like think the least about it. You just experience it. You take it, and it's almost like him writing fanfic, or like a love letter to like his influences. And he brings in a lot of what you love about Cronenberg. There's not only like incredible effects, honestly, probably the craziest effects out of any of his films.
Yeah.
Now we've seen all of them, so you have to
no,
say. Like,
I would say so.
Forget the
aside
gore
from like
and the
maybe
guts.
Videodrome.
Even Videodrome, like there's some really great work on that, but like Jesus Christ, that bug typewriter and like there's straight up animatronic stuff going on.
Yeah, like when it was like eating the other typewriter, like and then just like really interesting gory gut stuff. It's just
I want to know how they did that like mouth back anus thing, because that looked so
it was
good. So
and
goddamn
this
good.
Quite honestly might just be I think let me think. Yeah, I think this is like the last movie where the effects really take center stage.
eXistenZ has a bit, but not
yes,
like this.
but not like this.
Yeah, certainly. Man, God, I really do like this movie a lot. I guess I'm spoiling a little bit, but this might be my favorite of the whole series, not of this episode at least. God, like there's also like a lot of these other Cronenberg influences in this film. You see a lot of like, those espionage elements that he likes. There's like this grotesque mixed with like this feverish sex. that surrealism. Like, it's still Cronenberg. And this might, I mean, besides eXistenZ, God, I don't want to start trash talking it before I even get to say what I like about eXistenZ, but it almost feels like he's trying to rehash rather than like push his narrative forward, himself as like an auteur, I guess. But this is like the last like true to Cronenberg film.
I'm glad that you said that.
I think the next three we're gonna see, I would say, are deviations.
I'm very, very, very glad that you said that, because you already know how I feel about the movie we're doing immediately after this.
I have a lot to say about that. A lot of positive. But.
And then I felt similar ways as the movies went on. Like the next three movies, I was like, okay, I don't know if like this is, you know, getting to the point of where Cronenberg's like gonna start leaving what he had done before in order to like push boundaries in a different kind of, I guess, themes or genre. And yeah, I mean, this movie has a lot of great visual effects, a lot of visual elements. I mean, there's a lot of like, especially in the beginning, a lot of yellow hues. I mean, there's like the actual chemicals that he uses to like, kill. Yeah.
Which
in the lighting, there's a lot of yellow.
What color is heroin?
Yeah, it's like that color.
It's like, yeah, that's yeah.
In face, like kind of like makeup, it's like yellow. Teeth are like yellow. Wallpaper is yellow. Like the dirtiness of windows, it's like kind of got like a yellow haze to it, and there's also a lot of greens to it. And so like I felt like it was a lot of visual information going on immediately, and I really appreciated that. A lot of cool set stuff later on, like when he's in the interzone.
Mm-hmm. Those mugwump costumes are great.
Yeah. I honestly feel like this is like the last hurrah for like that era of like Cronenberg's filmmaking.
Yeah, I would say everything like post. Like starting with like maybe The Brood, honestly, that being the chunk, because you know he just didn't have enough money on Shivers or Rabid to go really crazy. Right. Although both of those movies do have some pretty good effects, they are small and subtle.
Yeah. And this,
what was I telling you? God, what was I telling you on the phone earlier? That this set of films makes Cronenberg feel like early Cronenberg feel subtle.
Yes, yeah. Well, that's, and I wouldn't even say so for this movie in particular, although it is true for this movie, because there's so much, like I said, just visual like information going on and visual effects. But this series really does, like these four movies make early Cronenberg look like the most like, hey, focus on the subtext or whatever. Like, yeah, there's a lot to dig deep here. Whereas with these movies, it's like, hey, this is what's going on. You can dig deeper, but I personally don't want to.
Right.
It makes me more uncomfortable. At least it's like the less visual effects,
the less I know, the better.
The less like really weird out there stuff that he does, the more uncomfortable I am. And I think that's pretty interesting. I think that takes a certain kind of mastery of filmmaking to do.
Well, so what do you think of like the ending? How do you read the ending of the film?
Just, you know, it's a eternal loop kind of thing. Yeah,
that's interesting.
That's what I got out of it. I feel like it's like kind of like relapsing in a way. You know, I saw it as like him trying to kick this like habit, kick the drug, and get out of that lifestyle. But then you see at the end that he falls into the same trap of like killing. Again, a woman with this trick.
Same woman, really.
It is, yeah.
I read
that. Loop.
I read it a bit differently.
Okay.
I maybe have some context on Burroughs' life that you might not know.
But
he has stated that the only reason he became a writer and what he credits his entire writing career to was killing his wife. He says that set off. And when you look at that last scene where they're saying, he says, you know, to the two guards, he says, you know, I'm a writer. And he says, oh, prove it. How do we know? And he pulls out a pen and they say, write something for us, do something.
Yeah.
And he turns around and
he gets like that nod of
and
approval,
just
basically.
out of nowhere, he's like, I guess it's time to do the William Tell routine.
Yeah.
And he kills her again and they let him through.
Yeah.
Believing he's a writer now. So it's sort of like that the journey is the proof of him being a writer is all of those things happening.
But even, yeah, I mean, so I think our points of view kind of like even kind of coincide a bit. Because the way I see it, like the way I look at writing, at least like when I'm writing and stuff, every time I try to write something, it's again, like I have to like start over. like really from scratch. It's like I don't know how to write. I don't know what I'm doing. So you just have to like get yourself into it again. Once again, learn what it is to be a writer. So I think that might be true for Burroughs. Maybe at least in this movie, it is like a continuous loop, but only because you do have to start over again. If you want to be a writer, if you want to make a career out of that or of any kind of art form, you're gonna have to bleed, as Hemingway said it. And in this case, kill a woman with your gun.
Kill your wife.
Yeah. Does he like? It's not like it's a formal.
No, I don't know.
But they are
it's
together.
The same woman
basically.
with the same first
same
name.
Actress too. Yeah, with the same first name. That really threw me off at first, as it did in a later movie. Which movie?
Crash, where James Spader's name is James.
No, there's another.
Holly Hunter.
Oh, Spider.
Oh well, yeah, that's part of it.
I know, but that threw me off too.
Fair.
Yeah.
Fair. I think they're sort of trying to get you to do that. You know what I mean? They're trying to. Is that her? Like, what's going to happen?
Yeah, because to me it was like, oh wow, she looks a lot like
We'll
him.
talk about Spider in like an hour.
No, not an hour. In like 5 minutes.
Well,
let's just breeze through, baby. Let's
breeze
go.
Through? Jesus.
Forget Crash.
Oh my God. Well, I was gonna just ask. Do you have anything else to add for Naked Lunch?
Like I said, this is kind of like the last hurrah. But then also, this movie like really got me. Like made me feel jittery, made me feel like uneasy, kind of anxious. Like there's just so much fever dream-esque going on.
And it's long.
And it's long.
It just goes. It just goes and goes. I had to pause it like a lot because I was kind of doing a few things. Mm. So I wound up sitting with this movie probably for like three and a half hours.
That's too long. That's way too long.
Yeah. I guess the last thing I have to add is like go read the book.
Yes.
Man, like go read Naked Lunch. Go pick up some Burroughs. He's got a lot of. There's really no bad place to start, but Naked Lunch might be the best.
Yeah. Did I say this on? I told you. You already know this. I'm gonna just brag on air that I have a first edition of Naked Lunch.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Coughed up some dough for that.
Did you really? Did you pay? Did you like buy that with the idea of like
what?
Like.
Of owning,
like I want a first edition of Naked Lunch, so I'm gonna go out and buy it. Like what was that?
No, it's just that I was on vacation down the shore in Wildwood, maybe I think so. And there's a cool bookstore. What Goes On is the name of the bookstore. Actually, no, it's not even just a bookstore, but they have books. Anyway, they have a couple of like first edition. They have a lot of like cool rare stuff there. And I saw a first edition of this, and I think at that point I was still like really into like the Beat generation, so I was like, hell yeah, I'm gonna buy first edition.
How much did you pay?
Well, it's like a third printing, so it's not quite like the first edition. So it was only like $75, and also it didn't have like the dust cover. It was a little banged up. So
I spent $75 for my first edition of Fear and Loathing on the Campaign Trail too, and that's because it's beat up as fuck.
Yeah. I don't mind
my Slaughterhouse 5 first edition for free though.
Ah, God, I'm really jealous.
Thanks, Daddy. You want to trade?
Maybe, yeah, actually. Because my ex, she got a Vonnegut first edition that same trip.
What book?
Jailbird. And while like I love Burroughs, I kind of do like Vonnegut, like probably personally a little bit more.
Good booking.
What's up, everybody?
Hey, that's what we can call the Patreon exclusive podcast when
we talk about books.
Tell your friends about us so we can monetize the fuck out of this.
Look, I wanted to show you just some notes here.
There's a legit penis. Oh my God, what the fuck? That thing has a button. It's humping them. These are your notes?
Yeah.
This is good. Roy Schneider from Jaws. Love the Ginsberg character. I'm genuinely feeling like I'm on drugs. You're like...
It's mostly for me. It's like I have to write notes that like jog my memory as to what I was thinking at the point.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not so much like factual. It's more of like
interesting.
What were you analyzing at that point?
We have very different note taking.
Yes, I see that.
Especially because yours are on your phone and I have 6 pages of printed out.
I like saving paper.
That's fair. I'm like physical touchy-touchies. So you want to move on?
Okay.
You ready for this one?
Sure.
Okay. We've got 1996's fantastic Crash.
Fantastic indeed. If you're into that kind of not great stuff, movie stuff. Because you can tell, wow, this is NC-17. I didn't even realize.
Yeah.
Makes
man.
sense.
Yeah, man.
No, it does. I just didn't know. Okay, so synopsis. After getting into a serious car accident, a TV director discovers an underground subculture of scarred, omnisexual car crash victims who use car accidents and the raw sexual energy they produce to try to rejuvenate his sex life with his wife. God. Cool premise.
Because I love the movie.
Such a cool premise.
No, because it's like, I love this movie. I love it so much. But like telling anybody, like, it's about people who fetishes car crashes. Like, it's just so weird.
It's a really like off-kilter kind of idea.
It's the Cronenberg film I'm most uncomfortable with. At least talking to people about. Not on here. This is fine. Everybody knows what they're getting into here. This is the weird zone, but
I'm not uncomfortable by this movie at all. Okay,
maybe
I was uncomfortable, and that kind of contributed. But
that's also sleepy.
That's not the main problem with this movie for me. I think this is by far weakest work of all the movies. Of all the movies that I've seen, not even just including the horror movies. Like I said, I've seen other movies.
Bullshit.
Whatever, man.
So this stars James Spader as James, Deborah Unger as Catherine, Holly Hunter as Helen, Rosanna Arquette as Gabrielle, and Elias Koteas, Koteas? I don't know.
I'm not helping you.
If I'm saying it, as Vaughn.
I'm not saying anything about this movie.
Character. I'm just gonna go.
I have one line of notes.
Really?
One line.
So I really feel like this film is a really interesting turn for Cronenberg. I really like what he's trying to do with this versus his previous films, because, he works in sex and violence.
Yes.
And this is sex instigated by violence. He's taking a lot of his themes and putting them in the real world. You hate me. You hate this.
No, is that you're right. You're right.
Yeah, because it's really interesting. It's really cool.
It is, but like I told you this before because I could not help but rant to you after seeing this movie. But that's fine. Like I've never been one to look at like writing, whether it's screenplay writing or like fiction writing. I've never been one to say, oh, you have to have characters that you can relate to, or that you can look up to, or that you want to follow along. I don't care for that crap. I really don't. I think that's a terrible thing to tell writers, and I've tried to avoid it for everything that I've written. At least for the most part. So yeah, I don't care. Like, and the story doesn't need to be relatable. What needs to be there is like reasons to care, a reason to be interested in this story. Now, the premise, as I said, sounds fantastic. It sounds like a really crazy underground kind of like a narrative, an interesting subculture. Sign me up, whatever. But the thing is that from the moment the movie starts, there's no reason to know more about these characters. There's not really much information given on them. There's no reason to care about them. Everything is really cold. It's kind of like Less Than Zero in the way that everything's kind of really vapid. And I'm referring more to the book than the movie, which the movie actually has James Spader as well. Where like it's just like it's I think that takes place like that's in LA. This is Toronto, right? Yeah. Because I remember the planes said something about Toronto. There was like a poster. But anyway, it's so void of like feeling, of emotion, of interesting characters that you care about.
So well, all the characters are doing that really well.
No, there's no reason. There's no story.
Goddamn, the reason why they do it, like, I mean, at least the way I read it, is it's kind of because they're in such a stimulated society, and they're desensitized, they're bored, they're frustrated. And this is the product of that. If we're gonna see everything in life, what is there left to see besides the extreme?
The movie Less Than Zero tackles the same thing, but like it's more fun, it's more entertaining. I don't think
Cronenberg at its core isn't supposed to be entertaining.
And again, I don't think that what your art is, whatever kind of stuff that you're trying to experience. I don't think that needs to be entertaining either, in the sense of like, it's fun or it's exciting or whatever. It doesn't. I like some boring ass books. I like some boring ass movies. It's just that there's no reason to care. I know you like
boring movies.
Yeah, there's no reason to care. These characters, there's nothing about them that you want to learn more about. And even then, like if you do, there's nothing else that's given to you. Everything's shot really plainly. There's nothing interesting about the filming style of this of the language. It's boring. It's dull. I don't know. I don't think you can have vapid characters or a vapid storyline and also tell it in a vapid way, because then it's just nihilistic, and I'm not interested. I'm not interested.
Oh my god. I love this. I had to pause this for like 10 minutes while I was watching it, and I was just all I wanted to do was get back to it again.
The longest 90-minute movie I've ever experienced. That's what I had to say about this. This is
Really?
90 minutes, and this is the longest 90-minute movie I've ever had to endure.
That's crazy.
No.
That's crazy.
No, screw this.
Oh my god.
You want to know my one line of dialogue or or notes rather?
We're gonna just like move on after this because you're not gonna entertain a single thing I say.
I'll entertain it. I want to hear. I want to be told that I'm
James
wrong.
Dean. Like,
exactly,
like
and that's my one line. That's my one line.
About James Dean.
That was an interesting scene. Like recreating that crash. Fine, whatever. The only part that I really liked about it though is like the guy's monologue, and he says something about James Dean's like last words, and it's true. That's my only line of notes here. James Dean quote is true. Don't worry, that guy's got to see us. Only note. Only thing that I thought was interesting about this movie.
Boo.
Whatever.
Oh my god.
I'll entertain it. You can try to. You can. Go ahead. Give me your best. Prove me wrong. Tell me I'm wrong. Will you admit that
on the spot.
Will you admit that I'm right though? That like there isn't much reason to truly, I don't know, care about these characters or care about what's happening.
I could see how you feel that way.
Okay.
I disagree. But this is not my hill to die on. I genuinely enjoy this movie, but also I get it. It's not for everybody. Maybe I'm just drawn to it because it's so extreme. Maybe I'm just drawn to it because I just really love Cronenberg, and this is not my first time watching it. I've seen it a few times, so even going into it, I knew what it was about. But I've liked it since the beginning. It's really
Since the beginning. What do you mean?
Since I first saw it.
Oh.
And I, was pulling. I haven't seen this movie in a while, but I was pulling a lot more out of it than I even ever have. Like, one of the first shots in this movie is Catherine pressing her breast against the
the hull
car.
of the bird. Was it a bird? Plane, wasn't it?
Was it a plane?
Yeah, she was like in a hangar.
Well, yeah, but that was a car, right? You can't put your tit against a plane. She's like bending over.
But she was in a hangar, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. It was probably something like maybe because James Spader is like a producer, director, or whatever. Maybe possibly where they keep stuff for films. Because I don't know. I don't know what she does. I don't think they even mention what her job is. But
who cares? Who cares about these characters, right?
Oh my god.
I'm sorry.
But
they even gloss over his whole movie thing. That's true. I forgot.
matter.
It's just that I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Like that might have. I don't know if like Cronenberg was trying, but like that might have been a cool, tying into the whole James Dean car accident recreation thing, or like that guy's like recreation in general. I don't know. Whatever.
Well, I really it's also really 90s, this film. I feel like it does fit in as the most extreme example of like films that were coming out at the time, stuff like Single White Female and Basic Instinct and things like that, where like everything was about sex, everything was an erotic thriller, everybody in every fucking movie just wanted to fuck each other and nothing mattered. Because you watch a lot of movies from this time, and that's really what they are. I think we've been really treated in this series by like all of our 90s films that we've done. The few that we've done have all been like outliers in terms of like general 90s themes. If we did something like a Single White Female or anything of that sort, Basic Instinct, or God, what's the one where Glenn Close boils the rabbit? Fatal Attraction. Fatal Attraction. But you've got another one.
Yeah. There's a lot of those.
The 90s was almost like this like sexual reawakening, and where there was a lot of shock value in sex. And I think Cronenberg was really tapping into that, especially considering that this comes out in the latter half of the 90s, where it's already kind of going on. But he's interjecting a lot of his own ideas in it. There's clearly like it's like a body modification sort of thing, for everybody involved. You
Yeah.
especially see that in that scene in the car dealership.
Yeah, there
Which
was a
they
lot
take
of
the
that.
poster from with the legs, the braced Rosanna Arquette's like braced legs and sort of like just like this, sexy legs and ass kind of, shot, but like clearly like she's fucked up.
Right.
And that's also the scene right before the probably the most infamous scene in the film, which is where James Spader fucks her leg scar. So you didn't even like that. You cannot tell me that you don't like.
What?
Like seeing somebody fuck a scar.
Yeah, come on. You enjoyed that, didn't you?
Come on.
No.
No. I just can't relate to you, man.
No. I don't like. I like subversive stuff, but not for the sake of subversion.
For the sake of subversion,
I don't care. I think
baby.
that's so dull. It's so lame. It's boring.
I really love the character of. You don't even like Vaughn. It's like he's so like you're drawn to him. You know what I mean? Like he's just so great. He's like the guy who kind of leads.
Yeah,
everybody.
I like him.
Yeah, he
Like I said,
almost
I
becomes
like-
a better character than
He's a
lead than James Spader.
Great monologue with the James scene thing. Not so much charisma, but like an interesting a weird, like gravitational thing about him. Like you do want to like kind of investigate more about him and about the culture. And great spoiler alert, like death scene.
Ooh, yeah.
That was great.
He's on fire and stuff. Yeah.
But I mean, I don't know.
It's
That's one aspect I certainly did like. I'll give it that.
I see a lot of Videodrome in the idea of like they have sort of a philosophy about why they're doing what they're doing, and like that's kind of what makes especially Vaughn a dangerous person because he's so committed and he's not just doing this because he's getting some kind of thrills. He really feels like he's doing something that matters to the people who are involved and the world at large. He says things like, oh, they have no idea who we really are, right when James Spader first meets him and they're running away from the James Dean accident, and he says like, oh, we're reshaping the human body by modern technology.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I remember that.
He really feels like a sort of like this psychological threat. He gets that tattoo with the steering wheel on his chest. I think that's the steering wheel.
Well, he gets like a surgical kind of tattoo. Like he gets a tattoo at the hospital.
Yeah.
And he says that that's exactly how he's going to die. Like the layout of his tattoo is going to be the way that like he gets crushed or like hit by the car, basically.
Mm-hmm. Which
So he was just mapping it out.
Which is funny because he doesn't really like die that way. So he's sort of because
It's still grisly though the way he dies.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
And the dog, that's a nice touch. I think James Spader said something to that effect.
Yeah, that was a wild scene where they're photographing that accident, though, and it turns out to be the stunt driver from the James Dean accident. He's like, oh, he did it without me, and he's dressed as a woman and stuff, too. Like, man, it's just like the level, it feels like a cult. You know what I mean? That's what that group feels like. It feels like cult initiation is what the film is. And, Catherine being the last to sort of be initiated, as towards the end where James Spader and her are like laying there and he says like, oh, maybe the next time. And
that was said early in the movie too. That was like one of the not opening lines, but opening scenes.
What?
Maybe the next one, like when they were having sex on the balcony.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I thought that was a bookend, but
yeah.
I don't know. I really did want to know. I wanted to know more about these characters, and
He should have been 2 hours long.
And their motivations, I guess, behind all this.
Fair. I guess that's fair. I also really like where they're talking about. I think this lends to sort of like their motive is where they keep talking about, oh, after the accident I couldn't face the traffic. There just seems like there's so much more traffic. I can't deal with this traffic. And I think that lends itself to the sort of idea of like now everything's too slow. I've had this near death experience. Now everything else doesn't matter. So I need to connect. Like I just need to live at like 100% constantly.
Yeah.
And and they're not going out and doing that like in a regular movie. It would be like, oh, I had my near death experience and now I need to do some fucking Morgan Freeman bucket list bullshit. This is Cronenberg's version of like the bucket list. It's like now I just need to do everything I want to do, which is just
or even just like
dangerously
for this, not
and
necessarily
fuck dangerously.
Yeah, like or extreme sports of some kind, or becoming some kind of like I don't know gangster or whatever, or some kind of criminal. Whereas this is just about like a weird sex cult.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess they're still sort of doing something illegal. I mean, like,
Yeah.
that's, you know.
I mean, because that James Dean performance, if you want to call it that,
Yeah, they get busted
Gets
by
busted,
the cops
yeah.
or whatever.
And it is
reckless
illegal,
driving is a
True.
is a thing you can
that is
get
a
points for.
crime. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm just about done with Crash. You've been done.
I've been done.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm
It's okay.
sorry. If
It's okay.
if anyone out there is like just totally against my position on this movie, let us know. Like honestly, if you change my mind, if you really love this movie the way like Doug does, or maybe even more, shoot us a line. Let me know what I've got wrong, because I do like being told different perspectives. I want to know why someone totally disagrees with me.
If somebody proves Lorenzo wrong about anything, I'll send you free stuff.
There's no
we don't
such
have
thing
any-
as proving me wrong. All right,
if
get
we
that straight.
we don't have any show merch, but I'll mail you
Not
something.
yet.
I got a lot of pedals, so if
No.
you're a guitar player,
Yeah,
I got
I'm
you.
gonna send you all of Doug's gear if you prove me wrong. All of it, every last thing.
Everything.
Yes.
Thousands.
Yeah,
Oh my god.
you had it coming.
All right, so let's move on to the next film. Let's breeze right through 1999. We're going 3 years later. The part of the class of '99, a very infamous series of films, including The Matrix and Fight Club, and I think The Usual Suspects too, right? Or maybe that's a little bit earlier. A lot of those '90s very famous
That
films.
was
come out.
95.
Suspects? Oh, wow. Okay, so yeah, 99 definitely had The Matrix and Fight Club and films like that. David Cronenberg left his mark on the year with Video Game Drome.
Funny.
We're doing eXistenZ.
eXistenZ.
And we got the IMDb up.
And I would always this movie. I for whatever reason my eye would always be attracted to its cover. I think just kind of like the weird spelling, like with the capital X and the capital like Z. I don't know what it was. Like, as a child.
Capital X, capital Z.
Yeah. So I'm glad to finally have seen this one. I think I feel like someone owned it like in my family, and that's why like I always saw it. Anyway, here is the synopsis. A game designer on the run from assassins must play her latest virtual reality creation with a marketing trainee to determine if the game has been damaged. That's
The first hour maybe.
I don't know.
45.
I guess you could say it's kind of like that. What I don't like that it's missing is that like it starts off with like kind of like a showcase of this new game from the video game designer.
It's just a few sentences. They can't go through everything.
I don't know. The last two were pretty cohesive.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that's a big part of the movie. I think a bigger part
beginning?
than the fact that they're all together. Yeah, because that plays a part in how it ends. A huge part.
Well, yeah, but then okay, yeah, fair.
Thank you.
Whatever.
Thank you.
Whatever.
You know I'm right.
It stars Jude Law as Ted Peichel.
No, it doesn't star Jude Law.
It stars Jennifer Jason Leigh
It stars Jennifer Jason Leigh.
as the demoness Allegra Geller.
That's who's the star of this movie. God, I love her. Oh, she's
and
great in this movie.
But Jude Law is beautiful. Back in the 90s, he was so
And he had his full head of hair.
He had his full head of hair.
Oh, Jude Law will never lose that hair.
Before he got really, really ugly and Road to
He's
Perdition.
not. Oh,
He's
well,
so
he's
ugly
ugly
in that movie.
Yes.
He's very ugly in that movie.
Yes.
I don't know how he looks in Captain Marvel. Did you see Captain Marvel?
Not yet. No.
Neither did I.
He's handsome. He's handsome.
He's a pretty boy.
He reminds me of like
But
Erin
Jennifer
McGregor
Jason Leigh is a
handsome.
pretty girl too.
She's a great actress. I love her, and she was also like in my favorite movie of 2018, 17.
Hateful Eight.
Good Time.
Oh yeah, she is. Yes. Yeah, I like her in like everything I've ever seen her in. I think.
So good. She's a star of this movie. She's a star of every movie she's in. Anyway, go on. Jude Law is also in it.
Yes, as Ted Peichel. Ian Holm coming back as Kiri Vinegar, and Willem Dafoe in a short little role as Gas.
Did not know he was in this.
Nope. Hey,
It was
he's
a pleasant
worked,
surprise.
Hey, he's worked with the duo. Officially now, Cronenberg has used both. Has used Willem Dafoe and Christopher Walken.
I'm sorry. What?
The duo.
What duo?
Am I the only one who sees a deep connection between those actors as kind of the two most exciting non-leads in the history of film?
What?
Yeah, really? No.
I mean, I've
Christopher
never.
Walken and Willem Dafoe. Name another actor who's nearly never the lead who you get more excited for in a film?
I don't know. I never thought
You
of
never
it
put
like
those
that.
two together?
No,
Like,
no.
oh God, ever since I've been watching like films seriously, like it's always been like those two. I feel like such a deep connection between those two actors.
I guess. Yeah,
I don't
you
know.
could probably see it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe I'm nuts.
I hold him in high regard, if that means anything.
Fair. I think this is the last movie that Cronenberg writes, directs, and produce until like all three until like maybe his just final film, like the last one he did, Maps to the Stars, I think.
You also didn't mention Christopher Eccleston.
Does he play what's his name?
He's the one that gets like killed in the beginning. He's the first guy that gets shot at with the tooth gun.
Oh yeah.
I think he's a great actor too. I was just really surprised by this cast. I thought it was an amazing cast, loaded, like stocked.
I agree.
Yeah.
What did you think of this film overall? Which is a thing that I've kind of stopped asking you lately, but
Yeah, I noticed.
would you? I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I love
you just
you.
don't care what I think. You don't care how I
I'm
feel.
sorry. Listen, in this marriage, we've just kind
We're
of gotten
done
used
already.
to each other.
By the end of the show, like consider
You're
our
gonna have
divorce
murdered me.
finalized.
Is that how this episode ends? Just like slightly distant, just sounds of like, yeah, just stabs.
No, please. Yeah.
This is not a joke. This is not a joke. And then you get up to the mic and you go, "Long live the new flesh," and that's how it ends.
Do. No, that's not how our outro goes.
It's oh my god, what is our outro?
I haven't listened. There it is.
With like the bass,
I should just skip
with
it.
the bass that I just mixed way too high. Boo.
Okay, so what I thought of this
Rips off
movie.
their headphones and crashes their car. And Jesus
Joins a
Christ.
sex cult.
And joins a sex cult.
I thought this movie was pretty inconsequential for the most of it,
Fair.
which I don't usually like in my stories. I like when there is consequence. That's why I didn't like The Good Place at first. Watch The Good Place if you haven't already. But I will say, like I said, the cast, incredible cast. Definitely like Cronenberg's like most stacked cast.
And of the four, I say this film goes the quickest, and you get the most entirely engaged in it, at least.
Yeah.
Although this movie's fucking like painfully 90s.
Yes. Yeah, that's
Painfully
another
90s.
thing. And also the how do I put this? The weirdness of it almost feels like it's just Cronenberg saying like, okay, this movie needs like a touch of weirdness here and there. Like the game device that they use that looks like a weird organ like fleshy thing with like intestines running out that you have to plug into your back. It's like that's I don't know. It's weird. It's out there. It doesn't need to be fleshy. It could have just been like, I guess it could have been like The Matrix where it's like actual technical, but it's Cronenberg. So what do you expect?
The flesh and technology.
Exactly.
Yes.
No, I mean, this is like Cronenberg's like, if Scanners is like his superhero movie, then this is like his adventure movie.
Fair.
And it is for the sake of adventure. It's fun. It's exciting. Still thought provoking. Still contains a lot of Cronenberg's themes. And then by the end, I do realize that it is still pretty inconsequential. Like through and through, even the way it ends, it's like okay,
Okay.
to me it felt like a short story that Cronenberg might have written and then just like made a movie of it. Where short stories like you just read them like, oh, it's a cool premise, whatever, and it's self-contained.
Yeah.
Yeah. So those are my feelings.
Fair. Well, let me just say something about
Actually.
this movie.
Oh God,
is
please
the only movie.
Stop. No, I know
not
where this is.
Oppress me and my people as gamers.
Oh God. I don't
They
like
always
that.
they always cast us in these films. They always cast us in these films like we all look the same, like we all think and dress the same, like we're a mindless horde, like
hate-
we're some sort of screen
Stop.
worshipping zombies.
Stop. This character.
Cronenberg gets it.
This
He
character's
gets
the
it.
worst.
Did you see that room full of people? Everybody is a gamer.
Please.
Everybody.
Please.
For real though, like none of those people in that room look like gamers.
So you're saying now that there is a look.
Yeah, man, that's the fucking joke.
That's
the
the
joke.
joke. Hey!
God.
All right, and now we're moving on.
Okay, and Spider. God, what is there even to say about this movie?
Plenty.
I guess, maybe, I don't know, shit.
Okay, Jennifer Jason Leigh.
You know,
You're not gonna say anything about.
how do I like?
You're
My
just-
trouble is not that I don't have anything to say. It's like to say a lot of my feelings. I just sort of have to jump to the end. I have to jump to the end of the film.
Wait, before you go there, can I start with the beginning of the film?
Oh, is it about that she makes a speech, just like every other Cronenberg character does at some point in a movie?
That and that the first line of the movie is eXistenZ. That's it. That's the first line of the movie. I love it because he's showing you how to spell it.
Yeah.
On a chalkboard.
He's like, it's Cronenberg saying, okay, I know it's a fucked up name, but here we go.
eXistenZ. Capital X, capital Z.
Do you like when they start? What do you prefer? What's less cringy? When they start a movie where the first line is the name of the movie, or when they end a movie where the last line is the name of the movie?
What's more cringy?
What's worse? Yeah.
Neither. When it's like a really important line at like the climax of the movie.
That's when the worst is.
That's the worst. Like, this is a clear and present danger. Like, oh, come on.
Every movie should do that.
And that's why I have to be Superman 4. That's a Family Guy
Quest
joke.
for peace.
Yeah.
That's
That's definitely the worst.
okay. Fair. I think every movie should do that.
Like my
Like when.
Gray, my brother who's getting married.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. By this point, you'll have no. This comes out Friday.
This comes Friday.
This Friday.
Yeah.
Okay, so tomorrow you're getting married.
Hey. And I will have already seen Us.
Yes, I hopefully I would have too. Actually,
if life is fair and kind to the good listeners of Good Suffering, there should already be a bonus episode out by the time you hear this.
Lord, really?
That's just me. Yeah.
That's just you.
Ooh, Doug's
Thanks,
going to
Screw
the
you.
nun.
What was I gonna say? Oh yeah, he just mentions how he doesn't like Arthur Miller plays because like they usually say like the title of the play in it. It's like, and he suffered the death of a salesman.
I think, Star Wars is a great film,
Uh,
but it would have been really great if, like, when Han towards right before they were about to go the Yavin 4 attack, where they're gonna go blow up the Death Star, where Han doesn't want any part of it. He's like, I've done my job. I'm taking my money and I'm gonna go.
You're gonna tell me how he needs to say like Star Wars?
You think I want to be part of your Star Wars?
Dude. That would have been good if they kept the title card until that. They don't start the movie with it, but then once he says that, that's when the crawl happens. And it's like we still got like 40 minutes.
An hour and a half into the movie. Oh, I love it. Oh my god, have you ever seen this? I'm sorry to talk.
We're
about
not
Star
talking
Wars
about eXistenZ.
but have you seen?
Is this what the listeners come for? Do they?
Yes.
You know what? I want to know. I want to know if our listeners come for like Doug and Lorenzo, witty pals, real fun.
Because we'll
Or
drop
like,
the horror thing so fast.
Or is it like the in-depth analysis of horror or what? Or these tangents? I don't know.
I just want to say, have you ever seen the Star Wars meme where Mace Windu is about to kill Palpatine?
Uh-huh.
And Anakin's like, no, you can't do it. It's against Jedi law. And Mace Windu is like, listen, if you let me do this, I'll let you get away with one thing, no matter what it is. And he's like, okay, I need to marry a senator.
Yes.
And he's like,
I saw that.
and I need no questions asked that she's already pregnant. He's like, sure, okay. And then it just
And
gets
it's like
written and directed by George Lucas.
Yep.
I love that.
Whole movie could have been solved.
Yeah, that would have canceled out the original trilogy.
Yeah.
Thank God.
That was episode
3,
3,
man.
yeah.
I just watched all that last night. I watched 3 movies.
episode. What was on TNT last week? I don't know if the rest were. Yeah.
Oh yeah, you sent me something.
Mm-hmm.
You're so sweet. You know I love the prequels.
Yes, I know.
eXistenZ. Holy shit, we're doing a podcast. Can you
Yes,
believe it?
yes,
Can you
yes,
guys
yes.
believe it? We're still here. So I can't really talk about what I want to talk about without talking about like the end, which is sort of that everything, nearly the entire movie, from the very beginning, from the opening shot, is part of an entirely different video game called something. Called what do you remember?
Inheritance. No.
Transcendentalism.
Transcendence.
Yeah, Transcendence.
Transcendence.
Yes, and so Allegra is not actually a a game designer.
Spoiler alert for everyone.
Yeah. Everybody is not who they are. They're just normal people. And
It's very much twist oriented.
And Ted and Allegra are like the 90s were in general. And Ted and Allegra are a couple, but it also kind of leaves on another twist note, which is like, oh, are they, are we still in a game? Is like, what's going on? Well, who introduced those
great last
anti-game
line.
themes? Yeah.
Really great. Yeah.
But I really like how you look at them playing their characters once you see that, what their actual relationships are to each other, especially like the sort of homosexual undertones of Ted, where he says things like, oh, I have a phobia of being penetrated, where she's like, oh, like all they want for like the first half hour is for him to get a hole in his back. You know what I mean? That you stick something into. Yes. And there's a lot of sensuality with his port, where she's like licking his port and like plugging things in. You gotta lube it, things like that. Yes. It's almost like she's helping him realize his homosexuality, which is really interesting when you look at the fact that they are a couple in quote unquote real life. So it's like, are they exercising different things that they want to do, or totally different characters that they don't really actually feel? It's sort of an interesting thing to me, because through a lot of the film, I had a lot of notes about Ted's homosexuality, and then I, as I was thinking, I realized, I'm like, wait a second, like what are the implications of that? What are the implications of that once you see that they're actually a couple in real life? What do those things mean?
And then also, like, when they're in the game, and so that the game can follow its narrative, the characters' like motives do come out, and like the player has no choice but to, like it's involuntary.
It's weird, because if it's all a game, then it's a game before they even go into eXistenZ the game.
Yeah,
It's a mouthful,
it's a game in a
man.
game. Yeah, it's a game in a game.
In a game.
Better than Ready Player One.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, it's not. eXistenZ doesn't have a Shining reference.
It's not even a reference. That's a whole
It's
chunk
like a whole
of
like
too
5
much.
to 10 minute
Too
sequence.
much.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah, this is better than Ready Player
Which
One.
is not even really, because it's like it's weird. I don't know. I have weird feelings about that Shining thing in Ready Player One. Steven Spielberg, why do you do this?
I have a bad feeling about that whole movie. But
I have a bad feeling about this. Hey, we're still on Star Wars. It was all a game. This whole
Good Suffering is not about horror. It's about Star Wars. Wake up, sheeple.
Oh my God! I'm just
No
really
more tangents. I just want to say one more thing.
I want to say one more thing.
No more tangents.
I want to say one more thing.
What?
There was a funny article today from a website called Woke News that said JFK wasn't shot. His head just did that.
I saw that. Yeah.
He posted that in the group chat, right?
Yeah. His head just did that.
You think somebody said that like there on the grassy knoll in Dallas? Like, damn, what did JFK's head just do? What the hell?
No, I don't think anyone said
There's
that.
like one deaf person who's like, what?
That is so far off color than our skit that we did about JFK's assassination.
That was good.
That was a good improv skit.
That was good. We're gonna start in future episodes introducing improv skits into our horror analysis.
I wish
podcast.
our JFK one was like recorded.
God, I wish everything we've ever said was recorded.
Well, it is right now because we keep going on tangents.
Heyo!
Stop.
I'm not cutting it.
God. Okay, eXistenZ. There's not much to say about this movie because there's not much that you can analyze. I think there's cool plot points. This is the most like plot-oriented kind of story that I think I've seen of Cronenberg, specifically because it's almost like a video game, literally, where there are quests, there are objectives. You have to do this. You have to get this information from another NPC or whatever it's called. Is that the proper term? It's been a while.
Non-playable character.
Yeah. So you have to like get information.
Once a gamer, always a gamer.
You see, I still remember, so maybe I am. That gamer is still inside me somewhere.
It's a very goopy future that he imagines in this movie. Very goopy.
It's Cronenberg, man. There's weird shit. There's a two-headed dragon thing.
Yeah, that's a really weird outlier. It's like a
Why
lizard
was it
bug.
CG?
Why was it in the movie at all?
I know.
It's so not. That's like the worst thing about the whole
CG
movie.
in Cronenberg, that was off-putting. Mm-hmm. I didn't like it.
Mm-mm.
I wonder how he felt about it. I wonder like what led to that decision. Honestly, yeah, I don't know. It's a movie a lot about its plot and a lot about. It's not so much about the twist, but it ends up being about that. Cool, like cast. Great cast. That's it. It's just a movie that you have to watch if you're interested in like looking at another like maybe more video game oriented Matrix kind of thing, but with the Cronenberg twist. Then give it a go. That's all I can say.
I have more to say about it. It just feels so inconsequential because this movie feels so inconsequential. Yeah. And I guess just to tie Cronenberg into it, like his themes are there. There is, the mixing of the flesh and of, technology. There is, there are some body horror things, especially with like the bone gun that shoots teeth and little things like that. But overall, it sort of feels like him trying... The Fly is him tricking an audience, a mainstream audience, to come see his weird movie. This is him trying to make a mainstream movie.
You think this is
him trying to make an accessible mainstream movie?
Okay. I'm just laughing because even at his best attempt, it's still really weird.
yeah, it's a weird movie though. Yeah. It's good. It's fine.
It's like, imagine David Byrne trying to like really just like fit into like
like make a pop record.
Yeah, it's just like it would still sound really strange.
Yes.
Yeah. You can't put these people in boxes. They just have to be out there.
Yeah, they have to be themselves.
Yeah.
So we're going on to the last one.
Okay.
Cool.
Oh, we're in the new millennium.
Hey, it's 2000, baby. Actually, it's 2002. Oh.
What?
We lost the Twin Towers.
Yes. We lost a lot of people too.
Yeah, we're in the war on.
And we also killed a lot of people subsequently.
Yes, we're in the middle of the war on terror.
This is the darkest period of our lives.
Is George W. Bush is president.
Yeah, W.
And things aren't really great here in America.
If you're stalling for me to get the synopsis, please don't.
But the good news is...
Just stop, please.
The good news is David Cronenberg's coming out with a new film.
I have it.
And it's called Spider.
I have the synopsis.
And it stars Ralph Fiennes and Gabriel Byrne.
A mentally disturbed man takes residence in a halfway house. His mind gradually slips back into the realm created by his illness, where he replays a key part of his childhood. Now, I didn't know that. I go into these movies blind, just completely blind. So I had no idea what this movie was about.
How do you see it then?
Ba-doom. Okay.
This is gonna be a rough episode for people. We're going on Child's Play level
because you keep just putting us off the rails.
Because there's got to be something fun in this episode. This is a rough 4 movies, and I knew that from.
I gotta pee.
Oh my god! What movie is? Oh, it's Pulp Fiction. I gotta pee.
Yes.
Yeah. That's good. That's a good movie. That's got Rosanna Arquette.
I was gonna say, you know who's in that?
Yeah, 2 Arquettes in that movie.
She's got that real laugh too. I didn't realize that's actually her laugh.
Mm-hmm.
I thought she was putting on a character. No, that's just her laugh.
No, that's just her. Yeah. She should have been in more Cronenberg.
Anyway, Spider. Yeah, basically about that. Dude in a halfway home, and keeps falling back into his memory of childhood with his mom and his papa.
Should give a disclaimer for myself. This is the only movie in this whole series, and only the second in the history of Good Suffering, that I had not seen prior to doing it for the episode.
You what?
Yeah, I never saw Spider.
Yeah, you told me, I know.
And the other one what was the other movie I hadn't seen before? It's for a very special episode that we did.
Oh, my freaking
It wasn't a bonus episode, but it was a special
I can't remember.
Hell House LLC 2.
True.
The
That's
Abaddon
right.
Hotel.
Yes.
Hell House LLC 3 is coming out this year. We're going to do an episode on that, too.
I hope it's good.
Me too. Come on.
Ralph Fiennes.
Ralph Fiennes.
Gabriel Byrne. And written by the author of the novel.
Why are you reading my notes? Yes, this is written by the author of Spider the novel.
And I did get a sense that it's very literary because
it feels very literary. Yeah. It's a very literary high you get from this.
What I mean by that is that I feel like a lot of it can't be translated, and I kind of got that sense.
I would have much rather have read this than seen it. I feel an interesting thing is everybody who worked on this film believed in it so much that it's like Cronenberg, Ralph Fiennes, whoever the producer was, and everybody, they didn't take a salary in order to better fund this movie.
Whoa.
Yeah, that's how hard they believed in this. And,
whoa, why?
Yeah, because it was super underfunded.
But like, what was it about this? Like, was it about the script? I mean, I don't know.
And people, if you read online, people love Ray Fiennes in this. People think it's
Great performance. Absolutely.
I think the star of this movie is Cronenberg's directing and some of these shots. I think it's a really, really beautiful movie. Like,
there are some really, really good shots.
Great shots.
Especially like where there's like, it's very minimalist.
By the canal.
A lot of like negative space.
Around the canal.
He uses that really well. Yeah, yes. The canal has a lot of that too.
And this is the first time.
Great framing just overall.
This is the first time Cronenberg really embraces like dirty kind of, areas, Cronenberg's always very clean, very, modern.
English people too.
English, yeah. No, I mean, England.
Like in England?
Yeah. Because, I mean, Dead Ringers, but.
Yeah, okay, true. Okay, it's in England.
It's in England, mate.
All right.
Oh, wait. Oh, that was not.
That was
almost Australian.
Australia.
Can I do it? It matters.
What?
I'm a New Zealand zoo official, and we're taking this monkey to Newtown.
That applies to the first movie we ever did.
Mm-hmm. Hey, happy anniversary.
Hey, it ties in.
Yeah, I told you.
Clink.
Like, we do a real one.
ASMR, baby. That's
nice.
not a.
It's not as nice as like 2 beer mugs.
Nah.
No.
I don't even know if I have notes for this, to be honest. Let me find out. Do I? No, I don't. Because and I'll tell you why I don't have notes, John. It's because
it sucks.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't suck.
No.
It's just that it's again, this was 98 minutes and it drags quite a bit too. And there's, for what it's worth, you are learning a lot about this character's backstory, his history, his upbringing. You learn a lot about what leads him to live a life that he does or behave that he does. A lot of, kind of coping quirks, it seems. Mm-hmm. So like there is a lot to like uncover about the character, but there's not a lot of digging that you have to do for it. It's very much revealed in the plot. Sure. I think the most interesting, the most interesting parts of this movie, like you said, were some of Cronenberg's choices in like how he frames and how he shows these characters. But the story's there. The story's there, right there for you. Not much horror element. A very psychological movie.
I guess it's like a psychological thriller, maybe psychological drama.
Yeah.
It's another twist-based movie.
Sort of. Yeah.
Sort of.
Trying to uncover. It's like a mystery.
Yeah. It's definitely a character study.
Yes,
I would say it's really. Ralph Fiennes does do some pretty good acting in this.
Very physical, awesome stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, really. I feel like there's just a lot of attention paid to, like, the day-to-day life of him as somebody who's mentally ill, mm-hmm. which, is a little bit of a slog to watch, just being totally honest.
Yeah, no.
But it's good acting. It's great, but it doesn't make for an incredibly exciting film or an engaging film.
A lot of repetitive stuff,
Yeah.
It's like when you say day to day, it's literally
him going through those things.
Yeah,
you see his tendencies, over and over. His slow walk,
mm-hmm.
and he's very timid.
Yeah, he wears like 6 shirts, 6 layers of shirts.
Which I really love that line that the other halfway house guy says. The clothes make the man. The more clothes, the less man there is.
Mm. Well, I think it's like vice versa. Like the less man, the more clothes. Like he has to put on more clothes because he's not that much of a man, which broke my heart. A lot of this movie was kind of soul crushing.
Honestly, it's
but
not
it's just
fun.
Exactly,
and
like
especially
it trudges.
The end where he's just really just has like no identity. You know what I mean? You just feel like this is a person with no identity, no past, no history. It's just he's just entirely like his body is entirely disconnected from everything.
And when I mentioned before that like the more Cronenberg strays away from like the really overt use of effects and the true horror kind of stuff, the more discomforting it is. And I think I'm even like kind of getting choked up now just thinking about like this movie. It is a character study about somebody that very well exists and probably exists too much. There's too many people that can relate to a character like this. Yeah. Upbringing, having a terrible father figure or just a terrible household, what have you. Right. It's gut wrenching.
Right. This is a film about long-term grief, about post-traumatic stress disorder, trauma in general, childhood trauma, still existing in a very, grown-up adult. And it's sad. I saw parallels, and, I hate to spoil something, but there's sort of a suggestion that, well, I guess I should talk a little bit more. Really, what Spider, I forgot his name in the film, David maybe.
Well, they call him Spider.
They call him Spider. Yeah, his father, at least within his memories, kills his mother and reintroduces this prostitute woman into his life as his mother. Says, "Oh, this has always been your mother," and there's sort of part of the twist is that maybe it wasn't her, maybe it was actually still his mother, but even if you take that out, his dad doesn't seem like the greatest father in the world.
Yeah.
Seems like very absentee, very disaffected and not engaged in his
because
family.
there was one part that gives it away, that it just totally clarifies what you just said. Where they're all three of them, mom, dad, and Spider as a boy, are at the dinner table, and Spider's like knife or fork just goes against the plate and does eat, and I even kind of shook it. I was like, ugh, I hate that sound.
Yeah, nails on a chalkboard kind of sound.
Yeah. And for a moment, the father, whose name escapes me, like the actor, because
Gabriel Byrne.
Is it?
Yeah, that's Gabriel Byrne.
Is that his name?
His real name? Yes, he's in
I didn't know that.
Hereditary.
I was gonna say I like him as an actor quite a bit. I didn't know that was his name.
I mistake.
He's a great character.
I mix him and Alfred Molina up a lot.
Yes. Yeah. I thought that's who it was at first.
Yeah. Have you ever seen An Education?
Yeah.
That's a good movie.
That's the Carey Mulligan movie.
Yeah.
That's a great movie. Anyway, what was I saying?
That's a good dad in that movie. It's a very caring father in that movie. Maybe cares a little too much, but it's a good father. I mean, I don't know.
I guess.
Yeah.
For what it's for the sake of the story, he's okay. Yeah. So yeah, there's a moment where the father he gives the kid Spider a look, and he's about to probably scold him for doing that and to tell him not to do that. But the mother is like, just don't say anything. Don't do it to him. And already there you can tell that he this is a father figure who's probably kind of very demanding and very overbearing and very much about rules and stuff.
Very patriarchal.
Yeah.
And even when he's with the mother alone at the bar, they just really don't have much to talk about. They're
very physical between them.
Yeah, the only kind of tender moment is when he's kind of trying to get into her pants.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's definitely not a lot of sympathy I have for that character, regardless of whether or not, Spider's recollections are accurate. And, I don't know. I feel like I sort of ruined this movie a little bit for myself. Again, saying that it's a very literary movie is really accurate, because if this was a book, you would have a little bit of a different perspective, because it's just words.
Yeah.
But seeing this, the first thing I picked up on is, man, how does he remember this when he wasn't there? This is entirely unreliable narrator, and I feel like that's not something in a film that should be given away. That's why a twist like The Sixth Sense works so well, or something, because you don't see it coming.
Right. And the way that they stage it a lot in Sixth Sense is it's deliberate, whereas this, it has to tell a story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I sort of was like, man, there's something not right about this. So I know something's coming, that this isn't either a poorly made movie or is just jumping the gun. And it's just jumping the gun. I wouldn't call it poorly made at all.
No, yeah. I think you're totally right, because even though it's movies still have points of view. When you're reading a book, you'll know if it's first person or third person or what have you. That's still, I believe, that's still the case with movies. It's still going to be from the perspective of either a third or from the protagonist. And this movie starts off immediately from the protagonist's point of view, and it just stays there. So when those flashbacks happen and he's not there, he's not present for those moments. It is almost like a dead giveaway of something. Something's astray. Yeah,
especially because when he, is there even as a child, even when he's looking at himself as a child, he's very present. Yeah. He's not just kind of sitting in the background. Even though he's quiet, he's there. He's always in the shot. He's always focused.
I liked how they did that too, because the first time that he walks, he's spectating his childhood. He's staring through the window. And I
didn't
thought,
even again, this being my first time, I was like, is he just looking into?
I thought it was just a peeping Tom kind of thing, and he was just kind of I don't know, craving affection of some kind.
It's a really great portrayal of somebody being stuck in their own head.
Yeah, it's really sweet, and then it's also you realize that it is like some sort of like memory or maybe a version of reality when he starts saying their lines for them and like they repeat him. Then you realize it's a memory.
There's that neurotic repeating of certain lines over and over again.
Yes,
it is a fantastic portrayal of mental illness.
Yeah,
regardless,
it's crushing though.
I think that's why
it's so well done that it's crushing.
I don't know if you've noticed my tone switch, just because like now that I'm in the headspace of this movie, I'm now just fucking sad.
I know. I feel like that's happened to me too because I was definitely choking up a bit, and I feel like I still am a little bit. It's so honest. The portrayal, like you can tell that Rafe Fiennes really worked hard to get this character down to make it someone that's real, like tangible. And I think Cronenberg like really respected the material too. So yeah, it's a very honest movie.
Yeah, 100%. There is some really fun visual work when they start to blend sort of the characters of Yvonne Wilkinson and Mrs. Wilkinson, who runs the halfway house. Eventually, the mother even gets blended in with that.
It's same actress again.
I like how this, he gets the name Spider basically because he like builds webs in his room. He does that as a child and an adult. I really love how they're not overbearing with that. The webs just are kind of there and they appear, and it's sort of just this visual link of like, look, we're it jumps through time very liberally. The movie does.
Yeah.
And I feel like, it's just a nice visual representation of the time jump, of his jumbled thoughts, of him trying to put stuff together, of him being tangled in himself. There's a lot of metaphor within those webs, but they don't shove them down your throat. So there's still a lot of very subtle and very mature directing from David Cronenberg in this film.
For sure.
I'm actually really glad that I got to see it because it's kind of not the easiest film to find. I had to buy a physical copy. And I'm glad that I had a reason to see it.
Yeah. But we'll say though, strange cap to this series of Cronenberg movies.
We go from Shivers to this, where we're like, there's sex in the building and it's crazy.
Yeah, to like this fucking
to this. Oh, God.
Yeah.
Oh God.
And even if you just divide the 3 episodes, like each episode's like very distinct and a weird. What did I say before? I said something before to you, like kind of going back to how you said that like the early Cronenberg's like really subtle and like this is like just like not.
The decline.
Yeah, exactly. I said something how like it's a bit of a decline, not in terms of quality or
I mean,
what
in
have
your
you.
opinion,
in my opinion, yes,
probably a little bit of a decline.
Yes,
I would say so too. I'm not going to sit here and say I like these movies as much as, honestly, even Naked Lunch, I would say all of the films that we've done previously would be the top 8 in some order.
Yeah. There is at the very least, if it's not a decline, because I will admit that's probably just my opinion. Well, it certainly is my opinion. There is a thread from like one end to another. It's a huge spectrum of movies.
Yeah. You got to see
that just are not similar whatsoever.
You got to see a lot of Cronenberg.
Yeah.
You got to see all of his facets.
Lot.
Yeah. I mean, anything else that he's done, you had already seen almost, right?
Yeah, almost.
Barring like Fast Company and M. Butterfly.
And A Dangerous Method. Those are the 3, I think.
Yeah. Like I said in the last episode, you've seen more Cronenberg than me now.
Yes.
So
I've done it.
That's it. That's why we're quitting the show.
You
You beat me at my own game.
Baby, you haven't seen History of Violence? Is that the one you haven't seen?
I haven't seen History of Violence or Eastern Promises. I've seen Cosmopolis. I haven't seen Maps of the Stars.
I would start with History of Violence.
I've read the comic book. I've read the graphic novel.
I was gonna ask you if you read that. Yeah.
It's very
And then
good.
when you see Eastern Promises, though, oh my God.
Is that about
That is
Viggo
what I
Mortensen's
knew,
penis?
like, yes. That is what I knew Cronenberg for. And I was like, this guy is a great director. Like, I never even, like, had seen any of these other movies. And that to me was like, wow, Cronenberg's amazing.
Hell yeah.
So,
Right, yeah,
so
I'll
check that
definitely get
out.
on those. I said, like, I really want to see his full filmography by the end of the year.
I'll make it happen.
Yep.
We'll do the same thing. You and I will discuss the movies that I've seen.
We went through all 4 movies and we barely talked about semen. And there's
This
so
because
much
it's too
semen.
much. We mentioned how like the typewriter thing has
Yes, and there's semen in Crash and semen in this.
semen in this
On a hand.
in a really gross way
On a
because
hand being flicked at the
it's
screen
flicked
with
at
a-
the
with a
screen.
noise.
Yes, Yes, and it felt like I was at a 3D like theater or something, like back in like the 40s.
Oh my god! You know what
Like,
we're gonna do? We're
What?
gonna open up a movie theater. We're gonna do 4D versions of just random films. We're gonna do this, and everybody's gonna get sprayed with a little spritz,
A little schmutz.
a little schmutz,
I don't
a little
like that.
schmutz of the semen.
I don't like that.
I want to hear Sean Connery say semen. Semen.
There you go. Just play that back because that was pretty good.
Honey, would you like some semen?
I'm not gonna do it.
Are we done with Spider? Are we putting this one to rest?
Yes.
This series to rest?
Yes.
Holy
I'm
shit.
exhausted.
We did it, yeah.
Yeah.
We have a palate cleanser coming up. The next episode is certainly a palate cleanser, though. So
Yes, we were very deliberate in that.
yes, but before we go into that, we have
Horror.
Oh my god! Oh,
That's a gift for our continued listeners.
yes.
If you're new, go back to the old episodes.
Yeah, like 4 episodes ago. God. My favorite thing to do on this show, which is arbitrary ranking.
Do-do-do-do-do-do.
Should I make a special for whenever we arbitrarily
No.
rank things? Should I
No.
make a special
No,
song?
because then you'll do it.
I have a nicer MIDI
often.
controller now, so I have
No.
a real synth.
Yeah, it's beautiful. We haven't used it yet. Okay, you go ahead. No, you want me to do it first?
Yeah,
I
it's
know.
you first.
Okay,
It's always
bottom,
you first.
bottom, way at the bottom, way down there. Oh my god, abysmal. Crash, way down. You can't even see it. You stare into the void and it stares back. That's how far down it is. Okay. There's Crash.
Fuck.
Third. See, it's always the next 3 that I have. I always feel passionately.
You're always like, there's always the one that you're like, fuck you.
That movie.
What was your fuck that movie of the first one? Rabid.
Rabid.
Oh my god, you really did always have a fuck you movie.
I did, yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
What was your last fuck you movie? Was
The other one, like the past.
Was that Dead Ringers?
Oh my god, I don't know.
What were the last four? Videodrome.
We did Videodrome,
Dead Ringers.
Dead Zone.
Dead Zone. Was it? It's either Dead Zone or Dead Ringers. For
What was
you.
the other? What was the last?
The Fly.
The Fly. Yeah, I think it was Dead Ringers.
Dead Ringers is your fuck you movie,
think
and that's
so.
the one. That's the only Cronenberg thing I have outside of. Like,
You know what?
physical
It
copies.
is. It definitely is because I remember I was like, whatever. Okay, so fuck you to not Spider. Crash.
Fuck you, Spider.
I think Spider would have to be next though, but like I said, there's a huge gap between Crash and this. Second, you might not like this. I don't know how you can feel about this. I don't like it because I didn't think I was going to feel this way. Yeah, Naked Lunches too.
Wow.
And then number 1 would have to be eXistenZ.
Out of just pure like enjoyment, I guess.
Yeah.
All right.
Like
Wow.
I because just it again, like Naked Lunch, while it's like, you know, it is what it is. It's like I don't know how often I'll see this. You know, like it's a cool movie to like analyze for effects and like crazy movies or storytelling rather. And eXistenZ is just kind of fun. I enjoyed myself watching that one.
Bottom up for me would be Spider,
Ugh.
eXistenZ.
Oh my god.
Ooh,
It's
tough.
I know it's there's no way. There's no
Naked
conceivable
Lunch, then
way.
Crash.
There's no conceivable way that that's true.
Yeah,
there's
Naked
no
Lunch, then Crash.
There's no way that that's true.
Naked
Why
Lunch,
is
then
that true?
Crash.
You're just being a contrarian again.
No, because you know what? Honestly, at the end of the day, Naked Lunch is great, but there is a bit of a slog, and I don't feel that slog in Crash. I just don't. Even Naked Lunch as a book reads quick. And Naked Lunch as a movie is great. We talked probably more about that movie than any other movie. That's probably the biggest chunk of the episode is Naked Lunch, and I love Naked Lunch.
It was funny is that we
But
talked the
Crash-
least about like eXistenZ.
Yeah.
And that and I don't know, I put that first. Maybe I'm
If
just
you had
maybe I'm
liked,
just
if
dumb.
you had liked Crash, honestly, I probably would have talked more about it. And I probably
I
would have
told
engaged
you,
it, which is fine. No, it's fine. I said everything I needed to say.
Mm-hmm.
But no, I would say Crash was probably my favorite of these 4.
Oh my god.
Although Naked Lunch is really great. It's really close. I had a hard time picking, but literally, it like I would say,
agree.
I would say it's even enjoyment for me. It's just like they're like in the quality of the films is probably pretty even between those two. I would just say that they're Naked Lunch just out of it being a bit long, just a bit.
It was even that cool moment where like I don't know if I can't think of like the lay person's term, but like the ADR moment where like where they were speaking, but like his words weren't like really flowing with like
Yeah.
what he was
Ian
saying.
Holm doing that.
Yeah,
That's
that
cool.
was so cool.
My my favorite thing is when the
There's
lady
so many
rips-
cool moments in
when
that movie.
Benway rips the lady suit off.
Oh
and it's like
my God.
So
Like-
40s movie shitty villain.
It's just like the book Naked Lunch in that way. Like there's so many cool moments and it's so sporadic, you know.
Yeah, it's just like out of nowhere.
Yeah.
It's really cool. I do love Naked Lunch. I do love Naked Lunch.
It does lag though quite a bit.
I love Nick. I love Cronenberg. I love Burroughs. I love Kafka. But
Do you
just
love Kafka?
I would say yes, I do.
I
Actually,
didn't know that. We have that in Oh yes, you know we bonded over that years
that's
ago.
the book. Yeah, and that's when I first went to meet Lindsay, and I was waiting in the airport. I brought like the complete works of Kafka. With
The one
me.
with
That's what I
the
read.
eye on it
Yeah,
and like
yeah,
the bars,
yeah.
I think.
George
Yeah.
bought that for me for Christmas, or
I have that
my
book, too.
birthday, or
That's
no,
a great
2
book.
Christmases ago. Very
We have the
sweet.
same copy.
Yeah.
I forgot that we have that in common. Okay, sorry.
Have you ever read letter to the father? His letter to his father.
Yeah, I think so. Actually,
Yeah, that's a really good.
Pretty recently.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm gonna go with Crash. I would say.
I'm sorry, man.
God, now I'm even reconsidering that.
Why? What did I say?
No, I'm just thinking because man,
Because it sucks.
it's like because I love Burroughs and I love.
Yeah, but you don't have to be beholden to
It's
you know.
the same. Honestly, it's the same reason. I'm gonna say what I say about Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas.
Okay.
Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas is my favorite book of all time.
Mm-hmm.
Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, the movie,
Mm.
isn't my favorite movie of all time.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You
Same
don't have to
thing
be
I feel
beholden
about
to like, the
Naked
subject. of it.
I love it as a love letter. It's a great movie, but I would just say I feel the things that matter about Cronenberg, that really, really matter in film analysis and film theory, are there and are more present in Crash than they are in Naked Lunch.
Yeah, probably. You're probably right. I just didn't care enough to find out.
He just made a jerk off motion at me, so
Oh, how revolting! Considering the freaking movies that we
Sicko.
have to go through.
freak, fucking pervert.
Yeah, you're the one that put Crash up there. You fucking
Crash is great.
kaputs.
Crash is really good.
Okay.
Maybe I'm the sicko. Maybe that's why I like it. Maybe I'm
Oh,
just the sicko.
Oh, we have a winner! And what does Doug get? Another copy of Crash. Give it to him, Johnny.
I don't even own a copy of Crash. We watched it on Vimeo.
Oh yeah, we did.
Yeah. Thanks Vimeo. And
They're gonna take it down now.
fuck.
Okay. So,
right.
next movie?
Next movie. You want to announce it? Oh man, it's been a minute since you've announced something.
I forgot what movie we're doing.
Really?
Because you've given me so many like subsequent movies, like, and then we're gonna do this and this and we're gonna do this. I can't remember the order.
I'm gonna whisper it into your ear.
Okay, go ahead.
It's Lights Out.
Oh, okay. Oh, right. Now I know. We're doing Lights Out in commemoration of the release of Shazam.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
We're not talking about Shazam though.
I really want to see that. I'm going to go see that. I'm going to see Lights Out, obviously. You're both going to see us. You're going to do a bonus possibly without me.
You know what I'll do? If you've seen it when I see it, like, are you seeing it on Thursday?
Yeah, Ethan and I are probably going to watch it together.
Like on Thursday?
If we can help it. Maybe Thursday.
if you go
it would be easier for
If
us
you
on
go on
Thursday.
Thursday and you have seen it by the time that I'm ready to record on Thursday night, I will call you
Okay.
and I will put you up to the mic.
Fair enough. We'll do that then.
Cool.
Okay.
So make a point.
Yeah, I got to check the show times for Austin, Texas.
Oh, you're gonna go to the original? No,
We're not going to the Alamo though because it's not. We could only see it Thursday, and then the show times for Friday. We're gonna be like we're going to a wedding, so we're gonna be at a party.
Hey,
We can't exactly dip out of that. Ooh. Hey, sorry, we gotta go see
the
Jordan Peele movie. Why do people say the same thing? That's 3 times today, baby. Woo! All right. So next episode, we're doing Lights Out. Thank you for joining us for this Cronenberg Film School series. It means a lot to us.
Yes, thank you.
Honestly, for
We're not
sitting
doing 4
through,
movies in an episode for a very, very long time.
if ever again.
Oh, we are. I already have it.
No,
planned.
we're not.
That's how we're splitting. Okay, that's how we're splitting up all of our seasons.
No.
All of our seasons.
Doug, take it away with the plugs for how do people find us, Doug?
You can find me on Twitter at Douglas. You can find me on Instagram.
You don't even use Instagram.
I posted a video today and you liked it, I think.
It was okay. I did.
Oh, thanks. I got a new pedal.
You can follow us on Twitter at good_suffering. You can find us on Instagram at goodsufferingpod. You can find us on.
You fucked it up.
Is that right?
Fucked it up.
Is that right?
No. You're wrong. You're absolutely wrong.
Oh
okay.
my God.
First of all, thank you guys so much for listening, and please don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. Leave us a review or leave us a comment if you're hearing this on YouTube or anywhere else. We really appreciate it. Not only does it stroke our egos, it helps the show. And
share it.
Yes, share it with your friends. If you have other horror friends who are into this sort of goofy bullshit that we do, let them know about it. We could always use more listeners. And you can find us on our social media and engage with us. We are very, very willing to talk with you about literally anything. Tell us your problems.
Tell me why I'm wrong, or tell me why Doug's wrong about something. I don't know.
We're both licensed life coaches and psychologists, so if you ever need help in that area.
I'm just an armchair philosopher.
I'm going to say I'm a gear guru.
Oh, please don't say that. So you can find us on Instagram.
You can find us on Twitter at good_suffering. You can find us on Instagram at Good Suffering Podcast. And you can find us on Facebook if you search up Good Suffering,
a horror podcast.
Thanks. And thank you once again for listening. And we'll see you next time on... Is that the right one? I don't even remember. Is it? No?
Yeah, isn't it?
Man, I don't even remember.
It's been a while.
Good Suffering.
I'm Lorenzo, and I'm. All
All right. I think we're good.